except for the fact that we aren't a Christian nation. And for how many of you scream about loving the founding fathers, it always shocks me how few of you have read their work. And before you say it, yes, God does appear in the founding documents, but that doesn't mean it's your God, doesn't mean it's a specific God other than the acknowledgement of the divine. It wasn't until 1954 that under God got added to the Pledge of Allegiance, and it wasn't until 1957 that In God We Trust got added to coins, and it was to distinguish us between our enemy at the time, which was the communist, atheist USSR. And also the First Amendment, the very first thing the forefathers thought to address was the freedom of religion, that the government should not make or infringe upon any practice of religion, whether that means to promote one or enforce one or infringe upon the practice of one. But let's talk about the founding fathers in particular, because if you had read their work and read what they said, you wouldn't make this comment. It was George Washington who said that the United States should have a foundation free from the influence of the clergy. Thomas Jefferson, who wrote 80% of the Constitution, by the way, said Christianity neither is nor was ever part of the common law. He also said erecting a wall of church and state is essential to any free society. John Adams said the best of all worlds would be if there was no religion in it. Ben Franklin, who was an atheist and also the only founding father who signed all of the founding documents, said the only way to see by faith is to shut the eye of reason. And James Madison said the purpose of separation of church and state is to keep forever from these shores the ceaseless strife that has soaked the soil of Europe in blood for years. And the Treaty of Tripoli, one of the very first documents for America, the nation, which was enacted in 1797, said the United States government is not in any way founded on the Christian religion. In fact, most of the founding fathers were either deists or agnostics, and they were also practicing Freemasons. They believed in astrology so much that Thomas Jefferson and Ben Franklin pushed to sign the Declaration of Independence from July 2nd to July 4th because it was a better planetary alignment. Those Freemason beliefs were also built into the city of Washington, D.C. itself. Symbols, numbers, exact alignments, including how the city is divided into 4 districts that align with the 4 cardinal directions. So we are not a Christian nation, even though you so desperately want us to be, and I would highly recommend that you actually read the founding fathers and study their lives and what they believe before you run off and say things like this. And it also is interesting to me how you bring up countries like Iran, and I'm assuming Afghanistan. And why would you say that? Because the Taliban came in and subverted their government and then enforced their interpretation of a specific religion that included dehumanizing and stigmatizing gay people and trans people, taking away the rights of women, including the right of their own reproduction. Who does that remind you of?